Oh my
So,
God, I fear swamp.
yeah, did you see how I just clicked and set up my WordPress? Now I'm ready to run. I don't need to create a database or whatever. And using this same tool, if let's say I want to error log, I am able to send to, there's a tool here that catches like mails. So mail hog, so I can be able to send myself something in the mail. If I want to say develop something that is sending out emails, this will catch it. So local is a brilliant tool, very simple. I can also open the database in here and I can see what's going on. So anyway, let's
It's nice.
yeah, let's first get on to developing. So I am going to make sure that when I'm logging in, I don't have to sign in. So yeah, local does that for me. So I just sign in directly. Now let me just go to the very basic and just pick on about blocks. So this is the new editor experience, and you can see we're able to pick out a couple of things. We can even change the colors of what is needed here, give it a background, make sure it's legible. I want, yeah, cool, that's better. Now, with this, we can even change the text to extra large, and we have a lot of goodness that comes from the editor the way it is. Now, in order to experience this, we need to be able to build things like blocks, okay? These are the blocks that we're talking about, or something that you can click and add through here. Now, initially, we used to have shortcodes. Do you remember those? Have you used shortcodes? Guys, let this be interactive. So feel free not to turn off your mic if you're not in a noisy place, so that I don't feel like my internet has gone off or my microphone has cut off and people are lost. Yeah.
Sorry, I had mute myself.
No, that's okay. So
Okay.
yeah, Hamlet as well.
What was the question?
Do you remember using shortcodes?
Yes.
Stuff like this?
Yes, I do. I do. I mean, I've developed them for custom, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So shortcodes are nice because they allow you to do PHP stuff on the PHP side. But they also have some shortcomings, like they don't have this cool stuff here, like dimensions and paddings and all of that. Okay. So
and also the client, like if you are giving the client a website and you want them to ever change it, this becomes very hard.
Yeah, and you tell them, okay, if you want to change the text admin, you go to that shortcode, and then you say add values is equal to, and then you tell them make sure it's an array or something, or it's a string with comma separated, so you have juice and whatever. I hope I learned how to type much better. So you have tomatoes and that thing. So this becomes really hard, and that's where blocks do come into play. Now, the development in WordPress has become a lot easier in the recent past, in that we can be able to spin up a block of our own using just a very simple tool. So I have my editor here. I'm going to open up a new window of this VS Code. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is I'll open up my site from Blocksy Dev, and I'm going to drag and drop it in here so that we can be able to use it. I'll go in the WP content, and I'm going to go into the plugins section, okay? Now, the reason I'm going into the plugin section, is very, very simple for me, but most people don't usually tell the difference in there, because if you're going to develop something that's going to store content, it's better you develop it as a plugin and not throw it in your theme. You can develop the block and throw it in your theme. That's okay. There's no problem with that. No life will be lost. However, if someone changes the theme, then they lose the block.
Definitely.
Yeah, because it's attached to the theme. However, if it's in a plugin, unless they intentionally switch off the plugin, they're not going to lose the block. So the other thing that you could do is just go and use, we have the must use plugins. So there's usually a file called mu plugins. plugins, where you could drag and drop your block there so nobody can delete it. It will always be there. Okay. Yeah, but for now, I'm going to open up my plugins folder here in my integrated terminal, and I'm going to use Node JavaScript. David, I know you know Node. Hamlet, have you used Node in a way?
I have taken the course. I did a course. I take actually in the university.
Okay.
Something really.
Okay, that's good. I'm happy to see Roland, Peter, and Rogers just jumping in here. So I know this talk is relatively
for Node
focused. Yeah. Go ahead.
For Node, we also have some tutorials on our channel. If for beginners,
So basically, if you've not used Node before, you can go to nodejs.org. And this is not tied to any operating system. Right now I'm using Mac OS, so I'm able to download this software and then install it. But even for Windows and all the other operating systems, you can get Node installed, okay? So what that allows you in here is that I can check whether my Node is installed. So I say node-v and I'll know I have this version. I'm going to blow this up a bit so that you can be able to read. And then I can check whether I have, if I can see whether I have NPM also installed. So this is good for me. Now, there is a new package or script that has been developed by WordPress. And this allows you to basically scaffold or to come up with a very basic block, okay? So the way we do that is we can use a command which is called npx, okay? And with npx, we are going to basically create a block. So we're going to say npx at WordPress /wp scripts, okay? So when you hit that command, it basically goes and checks. I have messed up with this. I need to just go check in my browser to make sure I have this correctly. Yeah, so I'm just checking, making sure I have all the commands correctly. Okay, good.
Yeah,
so
scripts. Huh?
Yeah, WordPress script, and you can use it, and you can use also install. Okay, let's go back to our browser. I'll just do this npx install. Npx is one word. Let me clear this. So we have npx, then we have install, we have at WordPress /scripts. And the moment we hit that,
executable to run.
Okay. The problem could be because I didn't want to use npm because I don't want to install the whole WordPress script on here. So instead of npm, we don't use the install part. If you look at this, that was where my error is. So you just say npm WordPress script. So this will allow you to start developing this. So I'll hit yes. And this is going to, if just watch this part here in the plugins, you're going to see different packages do come up. I think it's relatively slow because my internet is also streaming at the same time. And then there are also kids watching YouTube.
Which service provider?
I am using MTN and using that fiber connection. So yeah, I'm able to do work and also do home stuff much easily. But let's see how this works out. Okay, so while this is coming up, we can be able to just talk about the process of this. So one of the things that you're going to realize is if you've been developing in PHP, the hardest thing for you is doing that mental shift from having PHP that allows you to run, let's say, you can have a command that is relatively broken, but it will run in PHP. Now with JavaScript and modern JavaScript at that is Node.js and so on, you don't have that flexibility, I would say. You don't have it at all. So you have to be very, very clear with what you're writing. You have to make sure that whatever you're doing is actually part of your project, in order for you not to have so many errors. But the interesting thing is that when you're doing the WordPress blocks, we now have two types of blocks. We have what we call static blocks, and we have what we call dynamic blocks. And the difference is the static blocks use purely JavaScript. Even they save the data in the database, the data is exposed on the front end. All of it is purely JavaScript. But with the dynamic blocks, you are able to use the old PHP and WordPress functions that are coming from PHP to do your stuff. So essentially, if you wanted to convert your current shortcode into a block, it is possible. You can still use your PHP from your shortcode and actually convert that into a block that is reusable, so that people will be able to have this whole experience. Allow me to just move this down here. In that people will now have this experience whereby they can do all these different things. So let me just install a very basic plugin that I built for it's called Simple Rich Text for editors. For the block editor here. So what this allows you to do is just add some markup in your text. So I'll activate this. Come back here. I'm going to reload this page. So with that plugin, you're able to have more of these options here. So if I selected this text right here, I can be able to click on this and then say, let's say it's marked. Now, under the hood, if I was to inspect this, you're going to see that this adds this mark and closes. It adds that HTML. You're able to use things like inserted or deleted. Like you see, this deleted looks like strike through, but the HTML of it is different. It adds a DEL. Yeah, it adds the DEL markup to it. So this is as much as you can go ahead and explore the block editor and stretch it out to your own usage. Okay. So I'm hoping, against all hope, that this did not break. Okay, let's just try it again. Let's call this WC CLA block.
Okay.
Okay, I don't need to upgrade for now. We shall be able to log in again. Let me clear this and do npx at WordPress script, and we're going to call this a WordPress Kampala block. So this npx script allows you to add the name of the block if you want to. Something is not right. It's broken.
Ready.
I hope it's not my JavaScript. Sorry, my node. Let me just do this. Let me just use npm. Let me follow good advice from good people and install this.
From the official documentation. Okay.
Yeah, no, someone in the background just told me, Lawrence, stop using npx, go for npm. And I think it's about time I stopped being very proud and just did npm. And let's see whether that comes out. So we are watching the plugins area. We should be able to have a plugin that will be called this in a short while. Yeah. Yeah, David, you are talking about having developed blocks about a year ago. Now, a year ago, when you are developing blocks, it required you to be heavily gifted or well studied with JavaScript itself.
And JavaScript, and especially React.
Exactly. But now WordPress has exposed, like, because the API has become very stable, they have extended all the components and made them available for you to tap in. If you've developed with WordPress hooks before,
these actions,
like action
and filters,
and filters, yes. Essentially, now you can do the same thing inside your React, like when you're building the block, to the point that you can even make your own custom admin page and just use the components from WordPress and make something that looks like the block editor. Because those components are available and you can actually just hook into them and everything will just come out right. Yeah. So that's how much better it has become.
This scares me somehow. It makes me feel like anytime JavaScript may replace PHP.
Yes and no. Why I would say that is okay, I wouldn't say 90. I wouldn't go ahead and say 90. Let me do this. The best way to see this is to go to the GitHub repository of WordPress and see this for yourself. So github.com, you can be able to see the markup of the WordPress. Yeah, WordPress. 79% of the WordPress core is PHP. Okay. I don't see it going away, because to use Gutenberg, you need to use the REST API. The REST API is purely built on PHP, and that's how they'll stretch it. So unless you rewrite the whole core into JavaScript, I don't see how WordPress is going to change. And because the history of WordPress is that it has always been backward compatible, in that they want people to use WordPress 4.9 and earlier to be able to still be able to plug in, and the over 60,000 plugins on the repo for them to still be functioning and giving people that extendability. I don't see the core of WordPress going away. But people will slowly move. I think by WordPress 10, you will see more people developing in blocks. You will see things that are more in line to what we have here. Okay. PHP is not going away because they have added that extensibility to even the blocks.
In fact, I have a talk in March about the same.
Yeah. So I don't see that going away, but I see us being able to build stuff. Wow, this is
okay. That's encouraging.
This is taking quite some time.
I don't know why, because you would say internet, but then the way at the rate to which your audio is coming our side, it's I don't think it's the internet.
Okay, let me just do this. Let me just copy this, and then I'm just going to kick off. So let's just use npm install. You need to
because I believe the first one would have worked as well. I don't know.
Yeah, the npx. Okay, let's just go straight off the bat. Create how-tos, and then they'll tell you blocks. Create a basic block, and I'm just going to use the documentation itself. They give you all of no. That's too fast. Step by step.
Setup guide.
No, I don't need to. Okay.
Really?
Block
because it had something to download. Did you see in the guide? Did you notice that?
Yeah, this was Carl and installing this. No, that's setting up. We already have local running for us.
Okay.
Yeah. Create a block tutorial. So npx create this. I'm just going to create create block.
This one even has a template.
Yeah, you can use templates. Okay, so we're going to create a block and we're going to call it wc class and we're going to call it block. fingers crossed, in the next 1 minute, we should be able to have that. I'm going to press enter to allow that. Our stream will go off in 3 minutes, but please feel free to just come back. Don't get discouraged because we've not been able to create our basic block in 30 minutes, but we now have it. We've created the block and we have the block here, my good people.
Oh,
yeah, it's installing. We can see the basic files have come in. We see some PHP here to get our block showing. So after these,
I can see the build folder, which is for Node actually. So that's why. Okay.
This is just an output folder. You can actually change it if you want to and rename it. But basically, these 4 lines are enough to tell WordPress that, hey, there's a block that's being built. Can you go and check this folder? And then you can have this added into our into our editor so that we can use it. Yeah, so it's installing the stuff. Very soon we shall get a build process here, but you can see we have all these files. So let me just explain those in the next 1 minute so that when we come back, we can just straight away get into, yeah. So initially we have this file that registers our plugin, and let me just do this. Yeah, so we have these comments in PHP that tell the plugin, we're using this plugin, this is its description, it requires this PHP, and then you need to have at least 6.1 as the version of your WordPress, and all these other things. So what this comment basically does in the back end for you is that when you go to this plugin section, you're going to have this here. Okay, and then when you click activate, that's when it will start working. But I can't click activate just yet because we don't have our build folder already here, because this is still installing. It will just automatically break the site. But since we are people who love living on the edge, let me click activate. Nothing went wrong. Okay, that's a good start. But if I go here and open up and reload this, if I go to add a block and I say, let's add the WC, that we don't have anything showing up as a block because, nothing has been built. But we'll carry on.
Okay.
Yeah, so this folder, source folder here, has all our files that we need to edit and to build our block to be much better. Okay. So let's join the meeting again, because in less than a minute we're okay. So I was going on about our files that we do have. Okay.
Yeah, I think you need to share your screen again.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for that, David.
You're welcome.
Where do they do that again?
Down there. Down on Zoom. Then there is share screen.
Yeah.
Down after participants.
Yes, it's a very brilliant. Well done. So let me do this. Yeah, we're recording. And good thing is that it has finished building our files. You can actually see here that they give you a couple of things to follow through. I hope you can see my screen now. Are you people there?
Yes, I'm there. I can see.
Okay, yeah. I need that voice to remind me that we are still there. Okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah, so now that it has completed, let's just reload this page. Let's see if we have a WCLK.
Oh, yeah, it's there.
So we have a block here
with
that
says,
says
smiling.
it says hello from the editor, and now we have a block which we can basically click on. We can move around wherever we want to. It doesn't have any extra stuff here to use. That's not a problem. We are going to see how to do some of those things really easily. I'm going to update this so that we're just working with only this block. Okay, so
wow, yeah.
Back to our file structure, because that's going to help us to see things a little bit better. So we have this action where we say, basically, if WordPress is initialized, let's run this callback function, and this function is going to call one particular function, which is register block type. And it says, how do I find the block type I want to register? It says in this very directory, wc_cla block, look in the build folder. And what is in the build folder here? We have a block.json file. We have this index.asset.php. We have the index for styling, that is CSS. We have JavaScript.
So for styling our block?
Yeah, this will do it well for us. And this will have style.index, which will do that for us. Now, we never have to open this folder at all. We really don't. Our edit should be only in this src file, which is a source file. Okay, so we have the block.json. We have almost the same files, just a little bit different. So we have the block.json file where we do all the different settings. We have the edit.js file, which is basically JavaScript, and we're going to do a few changes here and there. Then we have SCSS files like the editor and the style. Now the editor.scss allows us to add style that is going to be shown in the back end. So basically, this blue background is coming from the editor. We're going to see how to edit all of that. Then we have this style, okay, which is the one that goes both on the front and on the editor side. So this style does both the end and that side. Then the editor is only for the editor, okay?
Okay.
Then we have this other index file, which basically loads all the files that we need to do. And it's purely React. JavaScript, you can see we're importing files from here. We're importing different components if you've done React. But don't worry, you don't need to be an expert at this. We're going to see how to do more of that. And then we have this save.js, which is basically the one that shows on the front end. It pulls and renders your block on the front end, okay? So this is from the data that was saved. So all the files we need to ever edit are actually in the src file, and that's it. That's how easy it is. Now, I'll explain these other files. We have the editor.config. This is a brilliant way if you're going to do projects and share with other people and you want to maintain a particular like cast standard there. For example, if you want to have the indent style to be tabs, if you want to have an extra line at the end of the PHP file and so on, this is a good file to just add. And whatever editor someone is using, they'll have this shown. Then we have the .git ignore. This is basically for people who use Git. Please look out for the Git tutorials. David has a couple of those. And probably will be sharing.
They're on the Eberstate channel.
And then we have the package.json file first, which basically has details about the build process. So because this is modern JavaScript, our browsers might not immediately understand the modern JavaScript, so we have to convert it into relatively older JavaScript. Okay, so basically compile the React and make it into ordinary JavaScript that can be read. So this package.json has all these different scripts that we're going to use, and you don't need to know much. The rest of it is self-explanatory because it's JSON. But what you need to understand is this part where it says scripts and where you have the build, format, lint, plugin zip, and start. And basically, you want to focus on this part that says start. Why?
Because this is JavaScript.
Yes. Why? The reason I say that is because I'm going to open this particular file in my terminal and say npm run start. And the moment I do that, this is going to wait to compile any changes I make to my block. For example, if I come back to this src and go to the edit part and say, okay, I'm changing this, and I'm going to say Lawrence was here. Do you remember how in school we used to write on walls and say this person was here? Lawrence
I
is
never did it.
I never did it, but yeah, people did it. But now this
Yeah,
has
very true.
compiled. The moment I save, it compiles. And if I go back here and I reload this page, we have Lawrence was here. So essentially, every one of us can make a block, make it do whatever we want to do. Maybe we just want to have that block that says copyright 2020, da, 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 da. You can make a block that you can throw and use anywhere in your WordPress site.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
and
how
you've just spoken about copyright,
Yeah. So it's as simple as that, as you just doing the npm install that script, create block, okay? And then you just do npm run start, make your edits to the edit here, and maybe even to the save and say, okay, we now have copyright here. Save this, this will build. I'm going to reload this page. It will be broken because now this is expected. Every time you make a change to this save.js file, it breaks the block. Now that is one of those things that are gotchas. You can make changes to the editor.js, it won't break. The moment you break this, so essentially what happens in the database is that there was data stored, and now WordPress is fighting to understand, okay, what am I dealing with? Because things have been changed. I don't know how to pass this. So in order to fight this, you need to make something called a deprecation, okay? That is a bit advanced right now. But for this particular case, let's remove this. Let's go back and just do our WCA block, add it here. Lawrence was here, update it. We can go and preview on the front end, and copyright is here. So we just need to edit the block and then re-put it. But that is not the way in real life things work, because people might have used your block and now you've changed it and now it's broken. So it's good for you to have a deprecation already in place for that. But if you don't want to have these fights with this particular thing, you can do what is called as a dynamic block. Okay? Yeah. Now, if you want to make a dynamic block, when you're installing this, you have a bit of a difference. So you do npx at WordPress create block, the name of your block, and then you put a -- dynamic. So that changes what you're going to have. So let me just come back here and add a new thingy. I'm going to go in the plugins, open this in my integrated terminal. I'm going to do npx at WordPress / create block, and I'm going to call this WCA - dynamic block, and say -- dynamic.
Oh, please, the spelling of block, I don't know if it matters.
No, it doesn't matter. This is the name of our block. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So
unknown option dynamic.
Yes, the problem is on my side. I just need to do this at WordPress, create -block, and then I'll say dynamic. The best developers are those who know how to Google.
Yeah.
So why is that?
The same with the best writers.
Yeah, I don't know. It says create dynamic blocks validation. It's not giving us the rule. I want to remember how to do that.
I think this one they are referring to the usage, not to the creation.
Okay, dynamic blocks. No, I just went to the same thing. There's a part where we create block. Yes. Man. Okay, the docs, create your first number. I'm going to pass that on let's not spend time looking at this. I'm going to share that in the blog, in the, what do we call it? In the group, we'll be able to see, but you essentially have okay, let me do this. This is broken, but it allows me to, so if you don't know what to do with the command, you just do npx at WordPress /create block. The moment you press enter, it's going to start asking you questions. Okay, so you can choose whether you want static or dynamic. So I'll hit dynamic. I'll say the name of this is wpw . I'll call it dyne for dynamic. I'll say let the namespace be that, displays that. I'm going to just press enter for all of these and then just allow it to do its thing. So we now have this new thing that is coming in, and you're going to see that in the SRC, we now have a different file. Instead of having the save.js, we have a render.php file, which is basically HTML and PHP. So this is what is going to be rendered on the front end in comparison to what you have here on edit on save.js. So that's the difference. Yeah. So if you want to do purely PHP stuff on the front end, but you want to be able for people to use this in the back end, go ahead and just install a dynamic block. Forget about the editor thing. After doing your, okay, this is the block that should be doing ABCD, so that people drag and drop it. You're able to have this, and then you just go ahead and do your PHP stuff here. And nobody will die. Everyone will remain very okay, and they'll be able to use that as a block. So at least if you're to take anything out of this, just know you can make a dynamic block or a static block by just using the npx at WordPress /create block, create-block. Yeah. Shoot. Yeah, any questions?
I don't have
for now.
Yeah, one question. How did you open the site in VS Code from? I know because you started with a local WP, so I'm wondering how VS Code was able to open it.
So I just opened a new window. Okay, went to my local WP. I say go to site folder. I just went one step back and got my whole site, which is this. Drag and dropped it here, and voila.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, let me see. I have Monterey, so yeah, it can work. Yeah,
you just drag.
I had never tried it.
Yeah. So that saves you a lot of headache. And the beauty of doing that is that if, let's say, you're in PHP and you have some extensions installed, I can do this. I have autocompletes using my extensions from VS Code. So that's why I dropped the whole WordPress site in there, so that I can be able to pick that PHP IntelliSense and IntelliSense. Yeah.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah. Any questions, people? I know we've been going at this for like the past 40 minutes, so I don't want to say, okay, let's do the next 10 minutes and see what happens when everyone is completely off. Yeah. Any questions, Peter, Hamlet? Anyone?
Not now.
Not now. Okay. So I'm going to blow your minds a little bit ahead. In the next 10 minutes, I just want us to do some few very, very interesting things. So let's go back to our block that we were developing. And I've explained at least all these files, right?
Yeah.
The README text is something that you'll see in, when you go to WordPress.org/plugins, and let's say you go to simple, that plugin, which is in my history, all these details that you see here, descriptions, screenshots, FAQs, and all of that come from this readme.txt. So it's basically passed, and then you can see. So you see description here, you see installation, frequently asked questions. That's basically what's shown. Now, we're going to go back to our block here. Now, this block.json is one of the best files there is. Why do I say that? If you go in this part that says supports, okay, we are able to add a couple of things. So for example, I can say, let's add the align, okay? And align, we're going to say is going to add true, and I'll save this. Because this is compiling, remember we had this compiling in Node. I'm going to go back to my browser here in the back end. You see right now when we click on this, we just have the smiley and we have the options to delete and do all of that. If I reload this now and click on it, we now have a new option that allows us to either go full width or go center left, align left, align right, and even align center. And we didn't do anything much besides just adding this one line inside support.
Yeah.
So
yes. Let me ask one question. When you were running the command, the npm command, had you navigated to the plugins directory or not?
Yes, I had gone. I opened this up in my terminal.
The
plugins, yes. I just used the VS Code terminal here. You can see the history is still there.
Yeah, it's
so,
okay. I just wanted to confirm.
So no, that's okay.
Thank you.
So I've just added one other rule while we were having that conversation. I've saved this, and then now we're going to see some bit of difference. I'm going to reload this page. And now you'll see that before we had align wide and all of this, we have align wide really. It's also part of this right now. So we have wide width, we have full width, and so on. So this is very simple way of doing stuff like this. Now, there are also other rules. For example, if I want to do like typography, let me go typography. Okay. Inside typography, I can add like font size, and I'm going to say, let this be true. And let me go ahead and also add the line height and say, let this be true. I'm going to save this and reload this. And when I come and click on this, now you see we have this whole new panel from WordPress. You remember us having this thing that showed font size, and now we can say we want it to be extra large or large or small, and we've barely written any code to get this working.
Apart from setting something in JavaScript.
Yes, in the block.json. Now, that's the new stuff that in 1 year has been able to change. I can change the line height of this. Let's say if we had quite a number of things, you can see line height is something in typography, if you've not experimented with that, that allows you to say, okay, we have maybe lorem ipsum. I know we need a paragraph block here, and you're writing, this is a boy. Wow, this is a boy who went to school and he wrote, wow, he wrote a lot of bad grammar, and he was kicked out of school for his bad grammar. Yeah, spellings, corrections, all of those are down the mud. I just wanted to show you that. But when we go for line height, okay, you're able to, okay, I have so many things that are intruding in the space. So we're going to go for line height here. And now if I change this line height, you're going to see the space in between the sentences increases. Yeah, so that's basically something with design, or you can reduce it and have it more squashed. It's just an effect of design that you can have. Yeah, so with our block, we're able to use the block.json to do that. Now, you might be wondering, how do I get all the other things that are not available here? Because when we're scaffolding our plugin, we have this part called the schema, and we have this URL. When I click on this URL, you're going to see the schema of JSON that is available. Like you can have titles, categories, parents, icons, descriptions, and all these other things. But because your editor like VS Code automatically picks this and says, okay, so you want to add something to the supports. I already know the schema. You should be able to say, okay, we now want to add something like a class name. And the class name we want to add here is going to be Lawrence David Cole. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a, oh yeah. So class name, I can add a class name and say true, or I can actually just let this be false. Okay. So initially, when we open up in our WordPress, when we create that scaffolded block, it automatically adds a class here from WordPress, which is called WP block create block WC class block. Okay. But because I've said here it should be false, class name false, if I reload this page and inspect this, you're going to see that we no longer, do we still have it? I'm going to update this. I'll make sure that this was running. The node was running. I'm going to save here again. Class name is false. Very good. Reload this page. Add our block. When I click here and inspect it.
So my time for the class is up.
Yeah,
See
go
you
ahead.
guys. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much
yeah,
for the introduction.
Cool. We won't be going so much further than this because I just wanted to show you the possibilities. David, feel free to run off. I understand where you're at. But this is because we can add all these things that come by default from WordPress. We are able to have a nice block and do so many things with it. Now, I know when we were dealing with, let's say query block here, okay? So when you look at the query block here, you'll see it has all these other things like color, links, and so on. And with it, we are able to have all these other optional settings. Now, equally, you can do the same thing with your block and add some settings here. So what does that call for? If we go to our edits part here, we can add what we call a panel body, okay? Now, I'm going to, wow. Now, this is where your knowledge of, what do we call it? Your knowledge of React is going to come in. So this part does not belong here, okay? So I'm going to cut it all out, and then I'm going to import it right here. So we're going to import the panel body that we're going to use. And React is shouting at us because you cannot have so many things in the root element. So I'm going to wrap this with this empty HTML that looks weird. It's called a fragment. So you can either have it like that, or you can say fragment. And this is basically an empty shell. When it's rendered on the PHP side, you're not going to get anything to it. Now, the other thing that we need to do is we need to have the inspector. Sorry. We have to have the inspector. Insert inspector. So we have inspector controls. This is what we need. I'm going to just get this from here and also put it here. I realize these are the same packages, so I can essentially just do this, have a comma to separate the two of them because they're from the same package. And because we have that, I'm going to move this panel body inside here. In our inspector controls, I'll save this for now. Then let's go and inspect our block from the editor side. This is broken. Let me add this again. It says block cannot be reviewed because it has an error. First, blah, blah, blah. Fragment is not defined. Let me use that empty thing. I'll reload this. Yeah, our block is okay. And you can see here in the side, we have panel title. You see that? From this block, if we click outside, we don't have it. If we click here, we have that panel title. If we have a paragraph block, for example, it does not have that panel title. This is only to this particular block. Okay, so we can have that panel body. I'm just going to add a panel row as well. I'm going to go for panel. So let's have a panel. First and foremost, we'll have, no. We're going to have a panel row. So let me do this. So we have a panel body, and inside this panel body, we have this. I'm going to add, and what do we call it? We have input controls. So let me go back here to the documentation, show you how to also navigate that. So when we are creating a block, if you read through the documentation, you'll be able to see all these nice things, but I want to look for input controls. And if I go here to the input control, I can basically, we just need to get the input control from the components. So I'll copy this and say, where do we have components? Panel body. I'll add an input control. And inside here, I'm going to add an input control. It is a self-closing thing because it's a component. And here we were told that it has a value and it can have an on-change function as well. So we can just say, let's add a value, and the value will equal to WCA meeting. I'll save this. If we come back to our backend and reload this and come to this block, something is broken again. But because this is JavaScript, we can be able to check this here. Okay. This is not so helpful. Yeah. Input control value, not, then we have on change. Let me get some other component instead of trying to fix this. Let me use something like a text control. Text control, text control. That should be easy to use. Something like this that allows us to type in information. So I'll just copy this text control from here. I'll paste it here. I'll take out the on change because we don't need it for now. Let me save this and reload here on the back end. It's still broken because text control is not defined. That's simply because we have not imported it here. I'll take out this input, we're not using it. Reload this. First name is not defined. Yes, you're right. Just do this. Value is equal to, save this. Yeah, when we come here, you now see I've added this field and it has a value already, the one that we have here. If we want to make changes to it, then we can be able to. So by just copying and pasting from the documentation into my code, you'll actually see that we're able to have a block that we built. We're able to give it more settings like we did here. And we added typography. We can even add colors if we want to. So we're able to work with this. Block development is no longer that scary thing that was there before. You just need to learn a bit of modern JavaScript. If you can learn React, that is even way, way better because you'll understand what's going on. You know what you're dealing with. For example, that issue where we're talking about the class name, this is expected to be as a variable in JavaScript, but because I didn't define it, that's why it wasn't showing up, and that's why it was broken. So I'm able to tell what the issue is because I understand the language. So that's the advantage you will have. Yeah. So from this, how did you guys enjoy it? Did you find anything helpful? Does it inspire you? Does it leave you completely confused? What do you think about this? What's your feedback?
I think for me, it was really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to go and practice it and see more and read more. Yeah, it was really an eye-opening.
Okay, that's cool. Good. Any other feedback? Rogers, Peter, Roland, anything to share with the rest?
Yeah, just to say thank you, but also I'm very I found this very insightful. I didn't know that we actually can do this, but it's something that I'm now look into and see how I can actually best use it. I'm WordPress down to the backend kind of thing, but I hope with this I can explore how to use blocks and also block development in general. Yeah.
Neat. Brutus, you want to share something, Peter? Yeah, I won't put you on the spot. Yeah, Peter, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been really, really insightful. I'm actually, I've got a picture, like you made it simpler and you gave an like way before it was really complicated and no one could think about it, but now I could give it a thought because I think it could simplify a lot of my problems.
Yes, there's so many custom blocks to be built. Eh?
Yep.
Yeah, nice.
Thanks a lot.
Sure thing. So on my YouTube channel, I have more of these videos where I go into the details, and it's not only a 40 minutes, but you can replay and find out, okay, what was this? Like you get to understand deeper of what's going on. I'm still making those particular videos. It's a long series. I'm going to talk about how to convert your shortcode into a block, and all of that. So feel free, you can go to the channel, you'll pick out their playlists where that is. Okay, library. No, my videos. Okay, so this channel, I have some playlists, and this one here in particular, it's about native blocks. So I'll just copy the URL and share it with the rest of the team. So that if you ever want to use it, feel free to do that. Yeah, it's in my channel notes. So you can go start building some crazy blocks, and I hope to see the stuff that you guys share. Okay. The other questions, was this a convenient time for you in terms of a meeting? I know we did a poll before, but did it make it easier for you than doing a meet in person? All right, I'll throw this on the channel. I see our time has run out. I'll throw this on the channel, then we shall be able to continue from there. Otherwise, I hope you have a nice weekend. Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
All right.